Hello everyone, welcome back to March's Planning Mess. Happy Easter if you're somebody that celebrates. It's a beautiful spring day, so I decided to sit outside and do this video. This is a review on the Jibun Techo Mini Biz. So I have heard of Jibun Techo for quite a bit, and I initially was not super excited by it because it is very colorful in colors that are not necessarily my favorite, and so I just didn't really pay it much attention. But as I've actually started, this is the nerd in me, I've started taking notes on my planner setup for next year because I have yet to find that sweet spot where everything fits perfectly, where it's something that's small, easy to carry around, not overly thick, but yet will have everything I need for the full year, or like 6-month books. I still don't know what it is, but I'm trying to keep it slim, like not too thick, and also a small size, but yet have room for everything I need. There's just this endless supply of things and nothing quite fits. But one of the things that has shown up on the radar has been the Jibun Techo, because it is not a super thick and chunky book, and they make it in two sizes, the A5, which would be too big, but their mini is a B6 Slim. So I've just kind of wanted to get my hands on it to get a sense of, would I like the B6 Slim size? Because I know I like B6, and I know I like N2, which is like slimmer than a B6 Slim, and so it's like maybe this is a possibility. The way the Jibun Techo works, and I did not get a starter kit which has all of the pieces in it, but it actually is a 3-book system. One is a life book, which is something that you like take from planner to planner, and you can fill out stuff, I guess in a sense, for your whole life. And then there's the diary section in the middle, which has like your weekly spreads. And then they have a notes book in the back, which is just a blank book. And I thought, well, that could be perfect for my daily to-do list section. And they're all 3 separate books. You can order them each individually. They all fit in the same cover together, or you can take them out and just have the diary in there. So it's kind of flexible about how thick or thin you want it to be. So I did see in one of the Facebook groups I was in that somebody had a B6 Slim that was available in the biz, which means the colors weren't quite as wild. And so I was like, I should get a hold of that if I can. And sure enough, I was able to get it from the lady, and it just arrived yesterday. So I'm going to show it to you compared to a couple other sizes, so it makes sense the size that it is. So on top here, this is an A6 size. This is 1/4 of like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Not exactly, because the A4 size is slightly bigger, but for your mental reference sake, it's about that size. This is a Hobonichi Techo, and this is what I'm currently using, and it has a cute little cover that I love a lot. Okay, so it is on top of the Jibun Techo B6 Slim. So you can see that they're about the same width. The B6 is slightly wider, but it's about the same size as my cover. But it is just a little bit taller, and not even an inch taller, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'll move this out of the way. This is just the diary part of the Jibun Techo. Look how thin that is. So this just basically has monthly and weekly pages in it. It's quite slim. And this is my N2 vertical, which I'm going to start using again when we get to the to July, because it doesn't quite have enough daily pages for me. Okay, so I'm used to this size. I love this size. It works quite well. So let's pull these next to each other and get a sense of how big they are. So, considering there's a little lip of cover to the actual book, I think the books are about, let's just see. Can we line it up there? I could take this out. I'm sorry, I don't have my little stand, so pardon me. Okay, let's just compare the book. That's what the book looks like without the cover. And if we line it up here on the edge, you can see they're almost the same. The N2 might be slightly taller. Okay, and then the width I'm sorry. This isn't functioning. I'm going to pause it and fix it. Okay, we're back. So as you can see, the N2 is just a hair taller. And when we get to width, this is slightly wider. Now I'm going to look. Oh, I don't have my normal B6. My normal B6 would stand out about, over here just a little bit more. So they're kind of comparable in size, slightly bigger. But boy, I tell you what, this just feels huge. Let's go to a weekly spread. Okay, same basic setup where you got the grid and you got the number line. Now this one, it starts at midnight. They only give you one line per hour until you get to 6 a.m. and then they start giving you 2 lines through the rest of the evening. And this reminds me of my Kinbor, which was the third one I was going to compare it to, which is a traveler's notebook size. So it's going to be taller. I was curious about the width. So here's the Kinbor. And as you can see, the inside is super similar. They definitely were copying Jibun. Kinbor is a Chinese, and it's not as nice. This is not Tamil River paper, but it's cheap. It's like $5. Okay, so very similar layout. This, of course, has a separate column for Saturday and Sunday, where this one doubles them up. And it is slightly slimmer. I don't know if you can see. I've got the middles pretty close. They're almost the same width. This is slightly wider. So my grid is, I don't know if you can tell when we get really close, this grid is bigger than this grid. So that you can get, because this is what, I think I counted 9. Yeah, it's 9 across. And this is 9 across. So, similar to this. Now, this is going to be taller because this is the A5 height compared to the B6 height. So, significantly taller. This is a standard traveler's notebook or N1 size, the Kinbor. So, this is, the Jibun is between an N1 and an N2. And kind of a nice little spot. I do believe Sterling Ink makes a B6 Slim. I have never purchased one of theirs before. This just happened to be available at a time when, and for a slightly discounted price. So I went ahead and just got it. I didn't have any plans to use it this year, but I feel like I should use like a week of it. Although part of me is saying just redate it and use it next year. So that's also a possibility. So Jibun was sticking out to me as a good contender for next year because of how slim this is. Now this is just weekly and monthly, and there's some yearly spreads in there. So I would have to have a second book, and it could be the one that they make that is the notes, but they also make one, which I have not been able to get my hands on. They're sold out on their official site and on JetPens, which is the other place I found that you could purchase these. So I would have to like see one come up on eBay or something. But they have one called the Jibun Days. That one is monthly and daily pages, and this is the same size as this, but the daily page is like 2 of these columns. So you've got the date, and then you've got like one with hourly, and then one like with maybe kind of like this on the side with the to-do check off things. So that would be a contender to go as accompaniment book to this one, the Biz. The Jibun Techo Biz, or I could just get their notes book and put that together. Now this comes with, when I got it, it came with this cover. I'm not super wild about it. It's kind of a cream color. It does have this nice pocket here. It has a clear pocket with room for like credit cards, and then this clear pocket in the back with room for a card and a nice thick pen loop, so I could put my chunky pen in there for sure. So this works, but I did find Amazon, I could order a clear cover, an official clear cover for the Jibun Techo, And I also ordered a notes book. I did not order a life book, which I could. I think both of those were available on Amazon. So when the notes book comes in, I will combine them together like when you get a starter kit so you can see what it looks like. But anyway, it's a nice little planner. So let's look through it. We've been talking about the size and why I wanted to get it for long enough. Let's look at the inside, and I'm just going to get rid of that because it'll take too much work to put it back in the cover. Okay, so you open up, and this is like a kind of a cardboard cover, so it's got some good protection. You've got a page here, a bunch of stuff in Japan on how to use it. It gives you, this is a list of all the pages that they have, which we will flip through. Some of them I will probably never use, but you know, they can be good pages to test your pens or inks or something. They give you a spread with like an example of how to use the book, so that's kind of cool. Like you can track your weather up here at the top. You can track your mood down here. Of course, this is all Japanese, so I don't know what in the world they're tracking, but there's probably sleep in here, and who knows. But they give you a whole 24-hour spread plus some space at the bottom. So in theory, like here, like this I think is morning, noon, or maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I would put in there. So then you have a year calendar. You have last year and the next year's calendar. And then here is like a yearly tracker. So not sure what I would use this for, but there's lots of great uses for these. One might be to track the books you're reading for the year, or steps per year. I don't know, lots of things. Weather, that's what I'm currently tracking in my N2. An age chart, I don't know how useful that would be for me. My dream, this is I guess a place for maybe like goals. A place to plan your money. So you basically have a column for every month of the year, and I counted, and at this little two deep, or you know, 2 rows and 5 column section, you have about 28 of those. If you would, they have some spaces here, if you would combine those and like shift that up, you get 28. So not quite enough for one per day. So I'm not sure exactly what I would use this for. As far as money would go, it may just be a useless page to me, or just a page to do something else. Got a nice map of Japan should you ever want to visit. And then here's a weekly plan. Now, I don't know if you can tell because it's kind of bright out here. This is slightly blue, the Saturday, and the Sunday is slightly orange or reddish orange. It's not a bold. The normal ones are more bold. But this is just a blank spread. I don't know why they give you a blank one that's not associated with the date, but they do. Then you have a place for 100 wishes. And then you have favorite phrases, recommendation list, book list, movie list, gifts received and gifts given, promise list, a blank thing. Okay, and then here's like your monthly tracker. So you could write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 habits, or 24 if you wanted to just do one line per habit for a month. And then here's all of the days. And they let you start that in December. And then they give you, you know, enough of these to take you all the way to the next January. And then they also give you the month of December. There's a little place to track your mood by each day. That's kind of cute. Then you have all the months together. And we'll get to the end of that soon. So that's December, and then they do January, February, March. Okay, so you basically have a year and a quarter plus the December before, so 16 months worth. And then here's your first weekly spread. So is this November? Yeah, so they let you start this in December. That's kind of cool. Just like Hobonichi Weeks lets you start a month early. So you could get into this book earlier than normal, and you could do all of your weekly planning. So the weeks all look alike. And then when you get through all of those, you're at the back of the book. And they give you the first week and a half of January. Then you have some blank pages. And then looking back. So you could write basically a memory for each month in 2 different places. Some personal data. I have no idea what any of that is. I'd have to use my Google Translate to translate all the Japanese. Maybe this is contacts, because see, I see telephone and maybe email. And then here's the back page. So that's what this looks like. You can get these. See how it's glued on the back? It's not really designed to be by itself without the cover. You can get some of these. I wonder if you get it with the cover, if it's a different book than if you get it kind of by itself. Because there's some of the one I was looking for that I would want to get for next year is like a white cover with black letters. And then it's the same look as the Life book and the Notes book. So I don't know. Like I said, this is just one that I found that was available. So it's nice to just kind of get my hands on it. It does also come with this little card here that gives you information on how to use it, which again is all in Japanese. So not super helpful for me right now, but I'm very pleased with the size and thickness of this. I would guess that the Days one is going to be bigger because it's going to need 365 pages. And I think I was adding these up. Like if you have 52 plus, I'm going to say 6 or 7. So let's say 60 weeks. That's 120 pages. And then you've got 16 months. So that's 32 more pages. So we're at 150. And then maybe 20 to 30 random more. So you might have 180 pages in this. That's half the size of what a full year book would be like. So I feel like the Jibun Techo Days would be chunky. So as much as I like the idea of that, I don't know that I would want to have that big of a book to carry around. Because I'm getting this small and thin like this because I want it to be easily carried around to go from place to place and to access easily. So I don't know. But I can't get my hands on one because, and I think the Days is new this year, so it's not like I could potentially find a 2024 or 2023 Days just to get my hands on one. It's not available. But the Days is kind of, in a way, set up like your regular Hobonichi Techo original, where it's just months and days rather than months, weeks, and days of layouts. So I'm not sure. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful as a review, so those of you that have any interest in Jibun Techo could get an idea of what it's like compared to different sizes and what the layout looks like and how thin this is in comparison. Let's hold it up next to this. It's about the same width as my N2 vertical, which I like that size. It makes it very portable. And so, like I've said before, I would get this hands down, no questions asked, for next year if they made it in a full year but 2 books. So you just had 6 months at a time in each book. That would be ideal for myself, but they don't. The closest I can find is a B6 setup like that, and that may be what I ultimately go with because the B6 isn't that much bigger. But I'm doing research right now, so if I can find a cheap version of something and I can hold it in my hand and compare it and maybe even try it out, it's worth it just to get an idea of what it's like. So it's a research phase that I'm going through, and I've set up a whole spreadsheet with pictures and data, the layouts and the cost and the companies that make different sizes, so I can and pro and con lists for each one. So hopefully I will go into my plans for 2026 a little bit more prepared than I did for going into 2025, because I really didn't know what all was available at all. much less research which thing I wanted to do. And so that's why I've felt like I've had a lot of things that have sort of worked, but not totally worked. But I really do love all the things I've had. I've loved trying different sizes. I've loved trying different products like paper test designs. I had never heard of them, but it's a really neat idea, and she has some interesting layouts, and I'm excited about what she has to offer because it meets a lot of needs, even though it's different. And for somebody, that's going to be their sweet spot, even though it didn't ultimately become mine. So I'm enjoying it. I'm still using my V6 from Paper Test as my journal, and that's cool. If that's all I use it for, that's cool. So yes, I will be continuing to research stuff, and as I find things and get them in the mail, I'll do a quick review and share the information, and hopefully it will help you as you're making your decisions about moving forward. You all have a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you in the next one.